So students, in the previous video we have seen that verbs are formed, there are 5 forms of verb, right? V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, and we were basically discussing V1 and V5 because those are used in present tense, which we were discussing. So we were doing present tense, the tense which happens now in the present, and there we normally use V1 and V5. Why V1 is used whenever your subject is in plural, and V5 whenever your subject is in singular, that is S and ES. And I have also given you the example, that is, if you have your subject as he, so what will be your verb? Your verb will always be in singular, that is ES. So that's V5 form. And if you have they, I, you, right? If you have all these things in your subject, so obviously your verb will be in plural, that is go, and that's V1 form. So in singular also, if you have any name, he or she, so that's how it goes. So this you have to remember, that V1 and V5 we normally use in present tense. Then your tense, we have seen there are various forms of the tenses as well: simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous, and we were discussing simple present tense. In simple present tense, we have seen the structure, that is subject plus V1 V5 plus object. Example: mosquitoes cause malaria. So mosquitoes, your subject, V1, it's V1 form, there is no S and ES. And then my brother works in a factory. My brother, again your subject, and works at S is there, so that's V5. So basically in simple present tense we are using V1 and V5. Now when do we have to understand that in a sentence I'm going to use simple present tense, right? Because when we will do all the tenses, and after that when we'll be solving some exercises, so you'll be confused that which tense should come. So when do we use simple present tense? So there are certain rules. First is habitual action, action which you do regularly, which we have discussed. Second, universal truth, truth that cannot be changed. For example, man needs air and water to live. This is the truth that we cannot change. Then if there is any news headline or commentary, then you use simple present tense. If we have a planned action, remember, planned action that is yet not done, but it is to be done in future, right? Like for example 5th of October, this is, you have planned it, it has not been yet released, and it is going to be there in future, 5th of October, then you're using simple present tense. If you have here and there in a sentence, then you will use simple present tense. And there come this conditional clauses. I told you to write down these words: before, until, unless, even if, as soon as, in case, if, when, while, till, after, no sooner than. So whenever you will see these conditional clauses in your sentence, remember your one verb will be in future tense and the other verb will not be in future tense but will be in simple present tense. And this is where we have stopped. That is, for example, I shall visit him. Shall visit him. You can understand that this is in future tense. In case is your conditional clause, right? I have asked you to jot down all these conditional clause. So in case is there, and just whenever there is conditional clause, after that you will use simple present tense, not before that. So after that, your he comes, again it's V5, so he comes becomes your simple present tense, right? This is the last rule of simple present tense. Now we move on to the next this form, that is present continuous tense. So in simple present tense we see that we use V1 and V5, right? So for example, he goes, and he, she goes, they, you, I go. This is the basic of simple present tense. Now what do we use in present continuous tense? In present continuous tense, remember in the verb formation I have told you, always V4 form is used in continuous tense, that is ing. So go becomes going. Ing form of the verb is always used in continuous tense. So what is the structure? Subject plus is, am, are according to the subject, plus V4, ing plus object. Now let's quickly see the example. For example, someone is the subject. Is, according to the subject, you will obviously add is because it's in present tense. You will not add was or were. So in present, because it is present, we will always use is, are, or am in case of I. So someone is knocking. We will not use any more knocks or knock. No, we will now add ing in the verb because that's the structure of present continuous tense. V4, always remember. So someone is knocking at the door. So this is how your present continuous structure looks. Now, when do we use this present continuous? Present continuous tense means the tense that is happening now, going on, basically. So, when we speak, while we speak, we use this tense. For example, we are studying present tense. So, we are studying present tense now. It is the action that is going on now. So, this is how when we will use present continuous tense. Since we is there, so we are using are. Study becomes studying, that is ing. This is the first rule. Now, second rule says a task in continuation not necessarily at the time of speaking. Now, we have learned in the first rule that whenever we are doing or speaking at that moment, something which is going on at that particular moment, we use present continuous tense, but it is not necessarily. I will tell you the example, then you will understand. For example, if I say this sentence, he is teaching English at Oxford University. Now, it is not necessary that when I'm talking this, that he is teaching English at that moment in the Oxford University. So, it is not necessary that when I'm talking, that action is actually happening, right? It is something, it is a profession that it is continuing. So in that case also we use present continuous tense, not necessarily that I am talking at that time and that action is happening, no, but it is a profession that he is still continuing with. That is, he is teaching English at Oxford University. So it is a profession of teaching that he is still continuing. He has not left his teaching job in Oxford University. This is what I meant to say, and therefore I'm using present continuous tense. He is teaching English at Oxford University. Third rule is a task to be performed in near future. Now remember, in simple present tense I said that we use simple present tense whenever a planned action is there which is to be there in future. But here you see the language, a task to be performed in near future. So if we see the example, you will understand what do I mean by near future. For example, I am going to Delhi tomorrow. So it is a near future, right? It is not that I'm going to Delhi on 5th of October, which I have already given you this example in simple present tense. A planned action which is to be done in future, but this is something which you are going to do it in near future, that is tomorrow. So if you see this kind of sentences, you will use present continuous tense. For example, I am going to Delhi tomorrow. So I is there, I'm using am, no is an are, am going. So go becomes ing, going before, to Delhi tomorrow. That is your near future. Whenever you, the fourth rule is compulsive habit. What do I mean by compulsive habit? Habit which you do it right regularly, but something which you need to stop. Habit which is negative, that you must stop, right? For example, if you see the sentence, he is always crying. So obviously you will not want anybody to cry. You want to stop that crying. He is constantly disturbing us. So you don't want anybody to disturb you. So these are the habits that a person should stop. The negative habits that they do it regularly without changing it. So if you get a sentence like this, he's always crying, he's constantly disturbing us, so you will understand that I have to use present continuous tense. That's the fourth rule. So we have done simple present tense where we use V1 and V5 of the verb form. Then we have done present continuous tense where we use V4 of the verb form, that is the use of ing. Now present perfect tense, we will be doing present perfect tense. We have done simple present, present continuous, now third form, present continuous tense. Now this is very, very important. Remember, present perfect tense means action that happened in the past and now recently finished in the present. That is the meaning of perfect tense. It has been completed in the, it has been occurred in the past, but it has been recently finished. That is called present perfect tense. Now remember, in present perfect tense, we always use the past participle of the verb form, that is V3 form.